And we're live.
Big episode going on right now. We're celebrating 10 episodes. That's why we look good. That's why we feel good. That's why we play good. What's crack-a-lackin'?
It's crack-a-lackin', John Lamb. You know, it just feels good to be here on another episode of Frequency 43. Mama Lib, if you're watching, quick shout out. I love you to death. Best mama ever, besides Mama Lamb, of course.
Hey, shout out to all the moms out there.
Shout out to all the moms out there.
How painful must it be to give birth to a child? I cannot imagine.
Personally, I wouldn't.
Shout out to the moms out there.
Yep.
You know, shout out to the moms who visited planet Earth and who were aliens in Area 51.
Yeah, can we talk about that?
That's what I'm saying.
Can we talk about that for a second, man? Because Joe Rogan just had a podcast with Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp talking about Bob Lazar. And now this is a critical podcast because you can tie this podcast together with Joe Rogan's past podcast, not only with Eddie Bravo and Alex Jones talking about crazy ass shit, but it ties directly to Joe Rogan's podcast with Bob Lazar and Joe Rogan's podcast with Commander David Fravor. Completely.
Oh my God.
It's all coming together.
Well, the Commander Dave one was a while back, right? And then like if you don't know what we're talking about, this is the guy that released the UFO footage, right? Or he was the one in the fighter jet, right? And he saw the UFO.
He was the one in the fighter jet in the fighting pilot seat, because I think his co-pilot was the one doing the recording in the back of the plane. So they saw, apparently it looked like a tic tac moving at. I'll let John explain it.
Yeah, right. So he was in some fighter jet and he was going, and what this UFO was doing, it was actually mirroring exactly his movements, right? And then when it zipped away, it went faster than the speed of sound. I don't know, went faster than perceivably possible for humans or anything that we've created, right? It wasn't some jet propeller, meaning like when you have a rocket, it would be some sort of like combustion, right? Where you have energy going on the outside and that creates it going forward, right? But this was different, right? This was some sort of anti-gravity, right? That we can't even comprehend. And you know what, to the listeners out there, if you don't believe in aliens, you're ignorant because you just haven't been doing enough research. And that's all I have to say.
I love that take. That's our first take of episode 10. And if you were going to leave the podcast, you probably should do it right now, right here, because if you didn't like what John just said, you're not gonna like what we have to say in the future, because we are going deep. There is so much that our government is withholding from us, and not only our government, but world governments. And I mean,
more power to him, though. Like, if I was in the hands of the government, I would be like, the public is not ready to know this information, right? They're not. I mean, like, in like, as me being a citizen, I'm like, I want to know the truth. Like, break it down to me the way it is. I want to know everything, you know, give me the truth. But the way the government sees this, and like, this is all like speculation, is like, well, maybe, like, first of all, like, we don't know like the true like power of these aliens, right? We don't know if what they're doing is to manipulate us, if it's to get the better half of us. So they're like, we can't disclose this information to the public. But now the cat's out of the bag, right? With Joe Rogan and Bob Lazar, like, especially if you're engaged and you are active on the internet.
I think that we should point out some of the major things in the Bob Lazar case, the David Fravor case, and the what is his name? The other guy.
Jeremy Corbell.
No, but there's Bob Lazar, Jeremy Corbell, and George Knapp, the guy who fucking did the recording. I forgot his name for a second.
Famous.
So it all ties together. Joe Rogan just had the reporter who. All right, we need to go deeper first. We need to give a thorough
background story. Yeah.
We need to give a background story right now. Bob Lazar, human genius, creates a rocket propelled bike, jet engine on his bike at the age of like 16 or 17. and it's in the
What
newspaper.
were you doing at 6 years old?
Undeniable evidence that this man is a genius, and he's fiddling around with jet technology and engine technology at a young age. This man, Bob Lazar, he he's recruited by the government, and they take him in, and he only does the podcast with Joe Rogan 30 years later. That's the craziest part, is this guy's had the same story for 30 years. The government recruited him to come take a look at Area 51 for this project S4 in this area outside of Area 51, not just Area 51. There was a separate test site.
Right next to Area 51.
And what they did, he was researching how to backwards engineer alien spacecraft, and the government has known about alien spacecraft and has had alien spacecraft in their possession for many, many years now. It's 2020. Do you know Roswell? Do you know when that happened? That was over 50 years ago. I actually have no idea. That was a guess, but it was over 50 years.
It sounded good.
It was over 50 years ago. Do you know how long that's been? Do you really think that aliens aren't out there? Do you really think that they're not out there?
We are the aliens. And then they're the, I don't know. But it's crazy to think about, right? Because if I'm an alien, I'm trying to look at it from their perspective, right? I'm an alien. If you're an alien and you're going into Earth, right? What do you think would be oh, this shit is so backwards. We have people they're not even.
Who knows what they're thinking, man? They're probably on a whole nother level of consciousness, man. They're probably.
That's so true. It's
probably not even thinking. They're probably
having a conversation with your dog, right? Or I don't know. Well, this is okay. Break it.
No, I bet we would be the dog.
Right.
We would be the dog.
Exact. So if our brains are 95% comparable to a chimpanzee, right? So let's say our brain, the difference between our brain and a chimpanzee is 5%, right? So what if we moved another 5% in the future as we evolve, right? And our brains get bigger. Mm-hmm. What if we move 10%, right? So you have chimps right here, you have humans, and then you have humans being evolved. So where would the aliens line up, right? Are they 20% smarter than us? Because that'd be fourfold what a chimpanzee would be comparable to a human, right? So they could be massively more intelligent than us, right? Because we've just discovered all this information and technology in the last 200 years. Look at life.
Think about 2,000 years from now. What is life going to be like in 4020?
Bro, I think
that's going to be a fun year.
Someone's going to nuke someone. I think there's
gonna be who knows if we'll even be around, man. But
but
that's my point, is that we're going to be so advanced. So for anybody out there calling conspiracy theorists and people who believe in aliens crazy, you need to take a step back, maybe smoke a little weed, okay, and look at the stars for a second, okay? That's all you need to do in order to completely reassess that mentality, okay? And then the second thing you need to do is you need to go to Joe Rogan Podcast, and you need to watch the episode. I told Will Reuter specifically, you need to watch in this order. You need to watch the Bob Lazar podcast, you need to watch Commander David Fravor podcast, and then you need to watch the George Knapp podcast, and then you will be seriously on the same page, on the same frequency as frequency 43.
Exactly. Listen, and if you've never seen the podcast, I feel like a lot of people, because I talked to my dad the other day. I'm like, Dad, do you believe in aliens? He's like, no. And a lot of that quick answer is well, if I did believe in it, let's say you take back you're 10 years ago, right? Let's say if you did believe in aliens, I feel like people would be well, then everyone would think I'm crazy, right? And no one wants to think you're crazy, so you don't believe in aliens, so it confirms your bias, right? I mean, but like once this podcast comes out and all this information is so accessible and you can engage with it and you can actually see like the truth, then you can really form your own opinion and perspective on it. And I think it's almost 100% aliens have visited us. I mean, like look at all the footage. You know, look at the podcast. I mean, like who are you gonna trust? I understand you can't trust everything you see on the internet, but you gotta take it with a leap of faith.
Well,
You know?
here's what I'm saying. Okay, so there's so much misinformation about alien. What you'll find when you're researching aliens is that you're going to be sifting through wads and wads of bullshit just to get to that one tiny pinprick of something that could have any basis in like reality. But that one thing is all that matters. Like it you know what there's Alex Jones is out there, there's Eddie Bravo's, right? Eddie Bravo's like Alex Jones is like up here, right? Eddie Bravo's like down here, but George Knapp, Bob Lazar, and fucking Commander David Frager are all they seem legitimate, not like these other guys. It's weird, it's odd. Well, and all of their stories somehow correlate in some other weird way or another. And these guys go back 40 years and they're still saying the same shit.
I mean, it's like you look at these people and it's like, look at Commander David Fravor, right? Like he was in the army. Like what would his motive be to like lie, right? Because like he's really like laying down, if you're going on any sort of podcast and you're saying aliens are real, you're really laying down your whole like reputation on the line, right?
I don't know if that's the best way to say it, because a lot of people think that he could do it for money and fame and get all this clout from being the alien guy who saw the alien. But that's the thing when it comes in about Bob Lazar. That's when it gets really crazy, is because apparently Bob Lazar was being like Bob Lazar was in hiding and thought he was actually, his life was in danger. So he went on numerous talk shows when he was like in his 30s, in the 80s, in like 89. And so, but he went anonymous. So nobody knew who Bob Lazar was until right now, because he's coming out on Joe Rogan and just fucking letting his dick hang, dude. And I love it. I love it.
No, that's the truth. That is the truth. But like, I mean, if you had to give a probability, right? Are there aliens out there? 100%. Have aliens visited the Earth?
That's when the question comes in. Have they visited Earth?
And it's like, I think so. I think so, because like, I mean, and I'm trusting like what I'm seeing, and I don't think Joe Rogan would interview someone, specifically 3 different guests, if it wasn't like truth, you know, if it wasn't truthful. And like, he has the biggest podcast platform in the entire world, not world, but maybe like United States at least. Mm-hmm. I mean, like he's laying it down. You know?
The thing is, these people could believe it's true, but it could not be true. You know, they could have been getting messed with, or they could have like seen something. But there's too many things that add up.
Well, like let's neglect the fact that there's aliens. Like Bob Lazar was working on flying saucers.
Yeah, he was.
He didn't see the alien, but they hired him.
He said that he might have seen an alien.
Right.
A glimpse. But like, it's crazy.
So this is
actually crazy, because not only that, because like, you know, but if you look back in history, like all this timing and everything with aliens, like doesn't it kind of like make sense that these aliens are starting to appear right when we're starting to harness nuclear technology, like right around that time, you know, and we're getting like super intellectually smart, and our information age and technology is increasing at an exponential rate never before seen in human history. And I don't know, man.
It's like it's like the intergalactical like Senate was like, okay, wait, planet C1685 Earth, just like they know how to split an atom. Like we got to check it out. They know how to split an atom. They could literally destroy the whole Earth if they wanted to.
Yeah.
We got to check it out for ourselves. you know? And I'm going to take it a step further, right? So like, look, like, what do you think about when you think of a stereotype of an alien, right? Well, they have a big head and their body is like morphed down, right? And then like, now I'm thinking like, look at humans, right? As we evolved, our brains have gotten bigger. And then like, you look at like politics and like everything going down right now. Well, we're not exercising as much. Our bodies are like condensing, but our brains are getting bigger, and the genders aren't separating. The genders are becoming the same. So it's like, I'm thinking like, well, isn't that kind of like the next stage in evolution? Like your brain's getting bigger, your body, I mean, there's no need to like to run around and like exercise as much. So your body's condensed,
beyond something.
your brain's getting bigger, and like before you know it, you know, like
we've got guys being dude. We've got guys being girls.
Eventually, you'll start to look like an alien, you know, because you're getting smarter, and then your body's getting down, and then the genders are coming together.
The stereotypical view of an alien. That's what a lot of people think, is that the aliens that have visited us are like just humans in the future, you know.
Well, if you
that have figured out how to like come back. Well, I mean, I think that by that point time would be irrelevant.
Dude, time is the hardest thing to ever figure out, because it's like the past is the past, right? And the past dictates the person you are today, right? And then all you have is this little moment, right? You just have this moment, right? Oh, gone. You know what I mean? You have this moment, and then the future is the unforeseeable, like you don't know what's gonna happen. So it's like you got past, future, and then like right now. Like I don't know. I just think it's kind of funky to like think about in that perspective. But like I don't know like what kind of technology these aliens would have. I mean, and now you're just spitballing because no one knows the true technology that these aliens have.
Well, that's where Bob Lazar comes right back onto the table. He says that they have a propulsion system that doesn't need fuel like we need today. It has no energy emissions. That means that it doesn't have, you know what, the end of a pipe, the end of a car, at the end of a car, it pollutes, and it needs a place where all that energy to come out.
Yeah.
Future technology, what Bob Lazar says, is that alien spacecraft doesn't need that. They've figured out a way to harness energy so efficiently that their vehicles don't burn energy. That's essentially what it is.
Now, if only we could harness it.
And the reason why Bob Lazar got sent to Area 51 was because they needed help figuring out how to backwards engineer these spacecraft. And so that's the reason that if you were wondering like why this motherfucker, but there's so much, I can't explain it. You have to watch the podcast because it doesn't do it justice. There's so much to this guy. It's
agreed. And now like don't get me wrong, like when he was recruited to Area 51, right? It was like him and like 10 other like scientists, right? Except the dilemma was they wouldn't let these scientists collaborate with each other. They had each individual scientist would have to do their own like research and then give it to the higher up person, instead of like having some sort of like discourse within the scientists to figure it out, because they wanted the whole like access of information to be only in the hands
controlled of information. Isn't that crazy?
I mean, and then you talk about his partner Barry. Remember Barry, his partner? Like he died. Like he just like he had this partner. His name is Barry, and Barry one day just like gone. Like he was just gone, and he died. And then he got a new partner. But it's really interesting how the government, like how seriously the government took this, and how careful they were letting this information out to the public. You know, like what else are they holding on to, right? Because if they just released this Area 51 footage, that can't be the only thing. You know, like they released it with the intent of us believing something.
Yeah, here's the thing that gets crazy is that you can go back. A lot of people are like, okay, that's bullshit. Bob Lazar is just a bullshitter. He never worked at Area. He never worked for any of these things. There's evidence. There's legitimate evidence that Bob Lazar actually, like in the phone book in 19 whatever, was there working there. And he's just an anomaly. He's an anomaly in the alien scene.
I mean, yeah, right? And it's like, especially for like Bob Lazar, it's like once he like started releasing all this information, like the government got rid of his college diploma. Like they tried to erase him from the map. You know what I mean? And I'm surprised he didn't get killed by the government because he leaked so much information, right? And at this point, you can't go back, because if you kill him, then like that the government killed him. You know what I mean? Like if I was the government, I would be like, well, this guy's a problem. Like we got to fix it.
Yeah.
So what they did is they got rid of like all his college diplomas and everything gone, which is, I don't know, that's crazy. It's crazy how much we don't know. You know what I mean?
It's crazy how much we don't know. We're just on this fucking rock every day. We don't even know what's going on in our brains at night. Somebody tell me why I'm dreaming these weird dreams. Jesus Christ.
Dude, I wish I could spend the day in like someone else's head. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
All you got, like, because I feel like especially like when out a few years ago, I was like, oh, everyone thinks the way I think. You know what I mean? Just because like this is all I know, because I'm just in my bag of skin right here. Like I'm like, oh yeah, like everyone thinks like this. No, everyone's different. Everyone's got their own like cliques and stuff. You know, some people are openness, some people are orderly, some people are introverts, extroverts. Some people love to watch Frequency 43,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why you're here. You know what I mean? And some people don't even want to be open to the fact that they're aliens. Some people just want to live life on their little hoodoo, like, you know, being like, ah. But like I've always seen like life as like you know, it's a path toward, for me it's a path to find what's the truth, right? Because no one's gonna break it down and be like, yeah, this is the way life is. It's like, nope, you're doing that on your own. You know, this whole thing, like this whole journey, it's up to you, like what you want to get out of it. And for me, it's like, well, I want to know the truth. I want to know what's real and what's not real.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and a lot of people are having their having a false persona of themselves to do it. And it's like that's why someone would say aliens don't exist, because they're like, well, my whole persona is on the line, right? Like what if I do say it doesn't exist, and then someone else thinks that I'm stupid,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or someone else devalues like your opinions in the future. But like for me, it's like I give a fuck about like what you think about me, because what I know is true, you know. Or I guess it's not. And even if I do know something's true, I'm open to being convinced that it's not true. You know?
Yeah, a good mentality.
Interesting.
I love that mentality.
I mean, I don't know how else you would live life.
I mean, life is just a journey, man. It's got to start and it's got an end. It's a trip.
Perfectly said.
It's got a starting point. It's got a destination.
What's the point?
What is the point of the trip? What did we get out of it?
Why are you
That's
here?
the question. That's the question.
You know, like, is it I mean, and pursuing what you love and loving what you do, like, yeah, but like there's got like and yeah, like your purpose could be like some sort of hobby, or it could be like your job is always a great purpose, but like maybe your purpose is to like help others, but like those are just words, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to know, like, truly, Like, what is the fundamental purpose, not for you as an individual, but for us as a collective unit, as a
You know,
world?
that's when it gets crazy, is everybody can have these individual goals, but then it
Right.
doesn't mean shit unless we can come together as a collective and accomplish something as a race.
When I truly think, especially with all these riots going on, like you get to see like humans at their purest form, and to be honest, we're monsters. You know what I mean? Like if things go unchecked, like you remember that Rick and Morty when it's
Yeah.
like, oh, our currency went from 1 to 0. Oh, well, you should go do that. Okay, but who's paying me to do that? Your higher ups. Wait, who's paying me to say that? You know what I mean? And then like
Yeah.
shit hits the fan. So like if you know, and like let's say like our currency goes from like 1 to like who's growing the food? You know what I mean? Like well, there's no incentive to grow food. Like who's paying me to grow all this food? You know, and then shit hits the fan. You know, we're hunting right now. Oh, there's not enough animals to hunt.
There's not going to be enough animals to hunt.
Well, I don't have a
Everybody's going to go to Canada.
I don't have a gun in my house. I don't have a gun
Everybody,
in my house.
I don't. My
You know,
grandpa.
then someone else comes with a gun, and you're just like, game over.
Yeah.
Have your dinner. So we're
Dude,
monsters.
isn't it crazy that when this whole entire pandemic fear started, dude, me and my dad, dude, we drove by this gun store and it was around the block during the pandemic. Isn't that crazy?
I mean, I want a gun when I get out of college. I'm having a gun, bro, because I'm so aware that like it's so easy for shit to hit the fan. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like what
Just
do I
in
mean?
case.
Well, like look at history. Just look at history.
Mm-hmm.
Our constitution.
It's the longest constitution. I
Oh,
mean, we're
100.
in a ripe time for a national crisis. We've gone through a lot lately. A lot. But things are getting really polarized. That's the issue. That's the issue.
Yeah. Are you talking like more so politically or what?
I'm saying that there's a left and there's a right, and the center is like slowly starting to crumble, if that makes sense. Like, I think that there's a solid, silent majority of center people. Like, I would consider myself a very centered person.
Yeah.
Balance, you know? We're young,
Well,
bro. Nobody in our fucking generation is like, all right, I shouldn't say that, but like a lot less people in myself and John's generation are racist and bigoted, and it's becoming, I feel like it's just being blown out of proportion.
you're
It's just,
not
I feel like it's a very loud, it's a very tiny amount of people now that are actually racist, but it gets blown up exponentially to big. Do you know what I'm saying?
right. Well, it's like
It's actually at the lowest it's ever been in United States history, I'm pretty sure, and I only see it dropping. I mean, our generation is not going to stand up for this one in 30 years. You know, it's going to be completely different. But
I mean,
I think that these issues are taking up the main stage when everybody in our generation knows that fucking gay people should be allowed to marry gay people. Like, there's no fucking issue there. But like, we're all talking about it like gay people should be allowed to, there's serious issues we need to get to move forward past this whole progressive phase, you know?
right. Well, I think especially on the left, it's the philosophy. If you're not with us, then you're against us, right?
That's exactly. There's that philosophy, dude. It's
And
very negative
then
mentality.
those on the right are like, well, okay, like
Yeah,
I'll just
like be
you know,
against us, and then
yeah,
that's where the
go.
middle.
Like,
That's where the middle starts to crumble.
so it's like so like the left is like, you better go this way, or like we don't like you. And then the right is like, well, I think I mean, I don't think it's as much for the right. I think the right is just enticing. I mean, both sides are tribalism, right? Like you look at you look at like the left, and it's like, well, we believe in these viewpoints, and if you're not with it, then fuck off. And then like
Mhm.
you look at the right, and it's like, well, the tribalism thing is white supremacy, right? It's like,
Mhm.
well, like where like not, what they're saying, that like this is like better than that.
Now, if there is one thing I do want to completely, I would love our police system to get. I fucking hate our police, man. Like, obviously, like, you can't defund them, though. You can't just get rid of them.
Right.
We've got to
Well,
find a solution, okay? Look, that's where the left is fucking ridiculous, man. You don't just say, oh, okay, there's a problem in our police system, so we're gonna defund them completely and get rid of them. No, let's find a solution to make
right.
them better, okay?
Uh-huh.
Let's,
I
but
think I think the left tears towards an emotional solution, whereas the right tears towards a more like, I don't want to say logical, and and the left is like, well, like this does make sense because like it hurt, and then the right's like, well, like this doesn't make sense, but it's absolutely brutal. You know what I mean? And
mhm,
like you go back to like to cops, and it's like, well, not all cops are racist, but it's like it's pretty obvious that like you can have, especially with the amount of training required, it's not a lot of training. And you have probably these people who, I don't know if they were bullied, but they have some sort of like issue, right? Or like they had some sort of like thing, or maybe some sort of prejudice.
mhm.
And then it goes like, just because I don't know, I don't really know how to put it into words, but it's like, um
I'm thinking more, I'm like, shitty people are just gonna be shitty people, dude. Like,
right.
all this social justice shit is
But
doing absolutely jack shit, man.
but
Because
right.
the reasonable fucking most 99% of people are fucking totally not racist and totally
Right.
not bigoted in any way, shape, or form. So it's
And
just we're focusing all of our attention on this, man.
Well, I think it's like in like us as a society, like we love conflict, right? Like no one wants to hear a reasonable person say something on Twitter, right? They want the juice on this side and the juice on that side, so they can be like, oh, or just, oh, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's not like just because you say something like intellectual and stuff does not mean it's going to get a bunch of retweets. But if you say something that's provoking, or if you're a provocateur, then that's going to create more of a like what creates a reaction is not you thinking about some sort of thing. It's about your hot take on the situation. It's but not even a hot take. Fucking kitchen sink steezing. You got a steak going out of the oven. It's hot, right? And that's what's going to create the reaction. Whereas
Hmm.
you have people in the center, and it's like, well, I don't care about that because that's not going to create the spark.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, it's all coming down to just likes and retweets nowadays, man. I mean, I just got back on Twitter after a long break, like maybe 4+ year break of not looking at Twitter like at all. And then I just created a Twitter actually for Frequency 43.
Hey, give us a
Started
follow.
looking around, I really shouldn't have, but I might have to make Lamb take over because I can't handle it.
Yeah,
It's just a complete cesspit. It makes me really, really sad every time I'm like, man, people like,
it goes back to the fundamental viewpoint of, at its purest form, humans could be monsters.
mhm,
You know what I
left
mean?
unchecked in a make-believe world
Like
where they can
like
say
every
whatever they want.
like and don't get me
Ridiculous.
wrong, like you go in, like you buy your
There
soup.
are some good laughs on there though, but the comments are pretty funny. But
Well, I mean, like once we run out of food, we'll see who the monsters are. And I think it's like, well, depending on how hungry you are, depends when that monster is going to come out. Because like at its purest form, we all are here to survive and reproduce and take care of our children. And if you're inhibiting on, I don't want to say on that right, but if the system flips, if the system is broken, right, and your currency has no monetary value, then who's to say that
Dude, I gotta rewatch that episode.
You're just here to survive, right? And if you can't do that on a sufficient level, then everyone's trying to hunt. Who's gonna hunt who?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I don't have a gun.
Who's gonna hunt who? Dude, there was a really interesting article I was reading today. It was saying that humans are it's becoming not natural selection. It's becoming social selection.
Not to mention a lot of it is sexual selection, right?
Yeah.
Because while you have natural selection.
I mean, let's just get that out of it's not natural selection anymore.
Let's define
vaccines. We're not being hunted. Even if you're the weakest link in a pack, you're still going to adulthood. So it's not even natural selection.
What about the decision to be a drunk driver and then you die in a drunk driving accident? So I think natural selection's still there, but you are on 100%.
That's a great point.
Well, like, what if you fall off a cliff? But it's there.
That's a great point.
Its impact on
sufficiently
society
weakened.
is not nearly.
Oh, not even close. Bro, it'd be like the retards you see on Twitter wouldn't even be alive 300 years ago. They'd be fucking merged. There'd be nobody. They wouldn't. Oh my God, it's crazy.
Not to mention all these fat people. Like from a natural selection standpoint, I don't think they'd be putting one foot in front of the other.
I think it was just harder to be fat back then. I mean, you were looking for food. It was it was just hard to get fat. Now it's easy.
Could you imagine looking at a fat person?
Fat was a symbol of wealth. It was damn, I wish I had that much fat. I could survive for a week without food off that. Yeah. I'd be so chilling for a week with that fat.
Now people are too fat, bro.
Yeah.
Which is interesting though, because okay, I'm gonna take it back a step. So people are well, so why is everyone fat, right? Well, it's the food, especially in the Western diet, the food that we're eating is addicting, right? I see it comparable to a drug. You know what I mean? I see it okay, so this is funny. So if you look at hunters and gatherers, right? You look at if you see sugar, right? Well, it's not that sugar is super good. It's not that it tastes amazing. It's that our brain has tricked us to think that, because in an evolutionary perspective, sugar has always been known as a safe food, right? So if you see some berries,
I actually forgot about that. That's super interesting. If you're a listener, this is super interesting.
Right. So you look and you've got this fungi right here that if you eat it, it'll kill you right away, right? But then next to that you have these blueberries that have sugar. and the blueberries, or it could be any sort of thing that has sugar on it, but when you eat the sugar, it means your brain is saying, this is a safe food and it's not going to kill me. So our brain over time has been and back in time, there wasn't a lot of berries. There wasn't a lot of these sugary foods. So our brain is well, this is a safe food. It's high in energy and I have to have it right now because there's not a lot of these going around in the area around me. And then we go back to nowadays. Now we have a plethora of these sorts of foods, whether it's in, I was having Kinder's the other day, Kinder's barbecue sauce. That's just putting sugar syrup on your steak. You know what I mean? Don't even, when I say sugar, don't even think of sodas and cake and stuff. Look at yogurt, bro. There's sugar in that. Look at milk. there's just as much sugar in that as there is protein.
Bro, my horchata I've been drinking lately, I had to stop drinking it. I only drink it with my coffee now because I looked at how much sugar it had. Bro. I nearly puked.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, and it's in these products that we like, especially like as a child, I was so like, when I thought of like sugar, I thought of candy, dessert, and like soda. But it's like, no, they're hijacking that shit into everything. And like, look at a product. If a product says like 20% less fat in this product, well, that means they took out the fat and they added more sugar, because it's going to taste like dog shit if you eat it and there's no fat. Like, it's absolutely hilarious too, because the whole food system. I mean, look at things like yogurt. You ever remember like the Yo Plays? Like, it would be like breast cancer like awareness on the little like label or something. My mom used to like collect them. It was like 10 cents per thing, and like they donate it. Well, the Dairy Foundation was sponsored by the Breast Cancer Awareness Foundation, so they collaborated, despite dairy being one of the major causes in breast cancer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's such a double standard. I think it's absolutely hilarious, and it makes me pay more attention to what I'm putting into my body in my diet, right? I mean, and I'm not fucking perfect. I still love fucking all these sorts of foods because,
dude, I've been fasting all day.
Right. And you go into intermittent fasting, which is so crazy.
I love it.
Right.
I've had absolutely no urge to eat anything, not even once today. And I just haven't.
Well, okay, this is cool. So like, what fasting does is, like, as hunters and gatherers, we weren't meant to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day. And this is why a lot of people are fat, is because like we're trained, when there's food in front of you, you fucking eat it, because you don't know when that food's not going to be there. So as hunters and gatherers, we're used to intermittent fasting, which is basically you eat every 8 hours. So you have a meal, wait 8 hours, have another meal.
Well, no, as hunter and gatherers, it was like you eat as much as you possibly can.
Right. You're right, 100%.
It was like, and then you don't know the next time you're getting a meal.
Exactly. Yeah. And so you're right. I take that back. But then we go into nowadays. So then when you have food in front of you, eat it, because I don't know when you're getting that food again. And I don't, so then we go into today, and there's actually a health benefit to it, because, well, what we don't understand is what's healthy for us is what our body is most accustomed and tuned to. Right. So the whole idea of intermittent fasting is you wait 8 hours to eat per meal, right? So you shouldn't be eating breakfast ideally if you're intermittent fasting, but your first meal, you should break your fast at around 2 to 3 o'clock, depending exactly when you had your last meal at nighttime. It should be an 8 hour time period. Now you're like, what's the point of that? Well, when you're fasting, your body's going into what's called ketosis, and we've talked about this before on the podcast, but I'll say it again. Ketosis, instead of your body burning carbohydrates, have you ever had like a pasta feed before a sporting event? It's because your body burns carbohydrates, which just gives you energy. But instead of burning carbohydrates, your body is burning fat. And so when your body's burning fat, your body is in it's in like repair mode, right? So when you're fasting, your body is in repair mode, meaning your skin's clearing up, you're in these like metabolic like things are happening, all these sorts of shenanigans is going on, and your gut microbiome's clearing up, all these sorts of things.
Let's go, baby. You're telling me my gut microbiome's clearing up right now?
Yes, that's a big thing.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, baby.
Fuck yeah, dude. I've been working on my gut microbiome, dude. Fucking every day, man.
Never, baby.
You can't tell how you're doing though, and it's like kind of, you just have to be like, oh, that was a good
Your body is always in a constant battle with your gut flora. And what do I mean by gut flora? Well, in your gut microbiome, and we'll go back to intermittent fasting, but your gut microbiome is just as important as fasting, if not more important. But think about like when you let's say you have some cake and you have some of this, Well, your body's always in a constant battle of good bacteria and bad bacteria, right? So let's say you had some cake and that has a shit ton of sugar in it and the sugar's going down. Well, your bad bacteria is going to feed off that, and it's just going to keep feeding and feeding and feeding, and it's going to cause inflammation, creating your gut microbiome to flare up, making you have shitty shits, which is basically your that's where you get your perspective of the gut microbiome. But let's flip it, right? Let's say you're having a great diet, you're having fruits and vegetables, you're taking antioxidants, which can be in the form of like blueberries, it can be in the form of vitamin supplements, you know. There's a lot of different things you can do. Fasting is really good. That would cause good bacteria, right? So when you think of your gut flora, I see it as like a tropical like rainforest in your gut microbiome. So it's this huge, diverse thing, and they're always on a constant battle of each other, and it's a major reason why we should intermittent fast. It's a major reason why probiotics and prebiotics are in the market nowadays. But what's interesting about that is if you consume probiotics and prebiotics, it doesn't do dog shit unless your gut flora is already in the right sense. So if you're eating cheesecakes, beer, and pizza all day, and you're like, oh well, I got to take a probiotic because of that, you're not gonna do it. Think of a probiotic as putting whipped cream on your putting whipped cream on your hot chocolate. You know, if you don't have the hot chocolate that's already fire, there's no point in putting whipped cream on it. You know, you gotta have the good you gotta have the good hot cocoa, your good gut flora, to add the prebiotics, to add the little whipped cream on top.
Yeah.
That's
So
how
what's the best way to improve your gut microbiome?
Right. So a lot of it is diet, stress, and lifestyle. Exercise is a big thing. Diet, I mean, the more with increase, I mean, I try and emulate my diet. I mean, I haven't been doing this, but in the future, I'm looking much more into this. But
Dude, wait. Can we talk for a second about Jordan Peterson's daughter's lion diet?
What?
Yeah, she's on a lion diet.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, go back, dude. I didn't know you didn't know about it.
Okay. Wait. Let's talk about that. I'll wrap up the whole gut microbiome thing because I think people have heard enough about that. But like, ways to improve it. I mean, diet is the number one thing, right? It should be try and emulate Tom Brady's diet. Try and emulate Tom Brady in every single way you can. 80% fruits, 80% vegetables, 20% lean meats. Gluten, that's terrible for your gut microbiome because that's just white sugar. Sugar is terrible for your gut microbiome.
Dude, Michaela Peterson, #lion diet, beef, salt, water. Do not underestimate diet.
Could you imagine eating a lion, bro? This is another thing, bro. When you consume meat, like I had a steak tonight, fire, right? But that's a steak from a cow that's been factory farm raised. And I'm not here to argue like, oh, it's bad because the animal's gonna die. Oh, it's bad for the environment. No, I'm going purely off like the nutritional benefits, because when you're eating an elk or a lion, something that's been like in the wild, like the muscles, the fight, like you feel different when you consume those meats as whereas when you have cow, when you have steak.
Have you ever had shark?
No.
Dude, I've had shark. It's really like not fire.
Yeah, I wonder why.
I can't even describe it. You have to go. Viewers, you're gonna have to go get some shark.
Or not.
Or not. Your choice. Your choice is good. Dude, Michaela Peterson, lion diet. Apparently it's just beef, salt, and water.
Well, have you heard like why? Like, so the whole JP Jordan Peterson family, they went through some crazy autoimmune disorders, right? And what they did was because
wait, what's an autoimmune disorder? I don't even know.
I don't know. My sister has one, or not. I don't know. Not one, but just like she has A. I don't look it up. I think it's so think of auto is like self-drive and then immune. So your immune system is like attacking itself, I'd be guessing, right? So think of your immune system as just like killing itself. So you can't like fight off like infections and stuff. I would guess. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not a
So
doctor.
they had an autoimmune problem?
Right. So she had an autoimmune disorder, and what would be happening is she broke her hip like all these sorts of times, severe depression, all these sorts of things, and eventually she started like toying with her diet. It's like, oh, well, let's take out wheat and gluten of our diet. Perfect recommendation. Doesn't work. Well, let's take out fruit. You're gonna take out fruit? Fruit's good. They did it. Took it out fruit. And eventually, when you start toying with all these like things, she started.
Makes it worse.
No. Well, eventually, but like, or not eventually, but you're right. But until it's just like in life, right? Until you find like what works for you, you'll figure it out. But eventually, she just started only eating meat. And
really?
once she started only eating meat, that's when she saw all these problems with her autoimmune disorder alleviate. And the same thing with Jordan Peterson. They're all on a carnivore diet. Isn't that
That's
kind of
so fucking motherfucking badass, bro?
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson only eats the finest steak, bro. That's
a steak, and then it's like he'll be like, Mr. Peterson, like,
Are you allowed to have beer on that diet? Or like is that all you like put in your body?
He doesn't do beer. Well, and like think about like it's
But,
not
like
that
on a diet, are you allowed to put in like anything but water?
it's not that he doesn't like he can't, but he won't, because he's been in such a deep place that like he's like, I never want to feel like this ever again. I don't want to be depressed. I don't want to, I don't want I don't know like his symptoms to the severity of him, but like I know that he's been going through some serious shit, and his diet is the only thing that's keeping him like chilling. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like Dr. Peterson, what do you want like before your speech? He's like, I'll have some bubbly water. He's like, yeah, and put some bubbles in it. He was like, because it's like some people get like all these like intricate meals and stuff. Like, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want that. He's like, just give me bubbly water, which is like absolutely insane.
I love Jordan Peterson.
It's just crazy how like your diet can play such a role on like how you feel, right? And it's like you look at people who are like depressed. Like I know, and a lot of people are depressed, right? Especially like when you grow old, like your life is always changing, right?
There's a difference between being depressed and being sad, right? And going through a rough patch, and then there's being depressed.
And I think it's subjective to the individual, right? Because you really can't empathize or like really know what they're going through unless you actually. I mean, remember I said this before in the podcast. I love to get in someone else's head, just for a day. Because you like, let's say like a friend comes up to you and is saying, oh, well, I'm depressed. It's like, no, you're not. Like, well, you can't just say that, because you don't know like what they're going through in their head. Like you could be living the most luxurious, like badass lifestyle ever. You could still be depressed. And it's like, well, what's the difference between that and you just not being on the right diet or exercising? And it's like, well, that's not going to cause it, right? Because it's some deep underlying problem that's causing these sorts of things. But if you could just, and this is what I've always been encouraging the listeners to do, if you could just exercise like a little bit more, like every single day, like try and do it. If you could just try and eat a little bit healthier, or if you could, like have some sort of relationship like with your friends and stuff. And I know like not everyone has like, I don't want to say friends, but not everyone has these deep intrinsic bonds, especially nowadays in our society, when I feel like I have more friends than ever, but the only deep friends I have are the ones that I've grown up with, right? Because I mean, for me, I have trust issues, right? For me, it's like I could give, I mean, like I transferred schools, right? Like there's no one I really feel absolutely close to, except the select few amount of individuals in my friend group at home, you know, which is crazy, right? But it's like, if you don't, and it's like, it's almost like you got to feed these like areas, right? If you're not feeling like super vibey, like you got to feed the exercise area, feed the diet area.
Yeah, you got to work even harder.
What's your future going to look
You're
like?
not, if you're not happy, you got to work harder.
You got to water your plants.
Nothing else is going to do anything but just put in the work.
I'll say this, sitting back watching TikToks and TV will not help your depression.
It will not help your depression. And it generally won't help you in life.
Yeah.
Even for people who get famous on TikTok.
Dude, I've thought about that too. It's like, well, you're still going to grow old and you're still going to have saggy ass. Like, I don't, and like, again, though, I'm going to, a third time, I'd love to get in their brain. I would love a day in someone else's head, you know, because it's like, then I could, well, because like, think about how your perspective would change in this world if you could live a day in even like a girl, like a woman's brain, you know what I mean? Like you see, like I always try and think of this, like you're hanging out with a woman, right? Well, this girl's seeing a 6'5" monster, you know what I mean? Like she's like, this guy could kill me right now if he wanted, or not even that, but like the whole idea of like fear, right? Like I and this is something like I am proud of. It's like I try and be fearless in life, right? I mean, and like everyone's afraid of death. I try and confront that as much as I can. Everyone's afraid of future. Everyone's afraid of their career. Everyone's afraid of not having their dreams. Like you could go on and on and on. Oh, I'm scared of having a wife. Am I gonna have kids? I try and like take a step back and be like, well, what is fear? Well, a fear is just a statistical probability that you don't know what's going to happen in the future, so you're assuming the worst case scenario, right? And like a lot of it is like fear is an emotion. Do you know what I mean? Like you're not like it's
we
like
talk about emotions for a sec,
right?
Like did right and wrong, emotions, morals, principles.
Right.
It's all so blurry. Everything just gets all so blurry in an instant.
Where's the
where
line?
There's no line.
Does it even matter? Because like I was thinking about this the other day, like if you are, and I try and do this, you know, no one's perfect, right? But I try and approach life being like a kind and like genuine and authentic person. And I try and do that on the podcast. I do that with my personality. I do it with all these sorts of things. Like I am what I am. I'm not hiding it, because when I'm on my deathbed, I don't want to be like, I don't want to hold anything back, you know? But what were we talking about? Emotions right now? In regards to emotions, how big of a role does that play in your decision making, right? Because like you make decisions every single day on your life, right? But like
most of the time, emotionally based decisions are going to lead you down the wrong path. Most of the time. Can't say that about everything.
Have you ever had an emotional decision in your life?
Of course, everybody's had emotional decisions.
I've never had them. No, I'm joking. Obviously, we've all had one. But I don't want to put you on the spot, but like if you, I mean, like whether it's in regards to like finding like a career, like a house, what do you want to do after college? Where do you see yourself, like, or you know, like these are big decisions, right?
Gonna have to make them, but when, you know, might as well make them now. But don't make an emotional one.
Yeah. If you, I don't know. But like, do you think emotion, like, it's just weird though, because like for girls, their emotions are heightened like 40% more, you know?
Is that like true?
It is true. Well, think about it. They're much more social creatures too. You know what I mean?
That's insane. They're in like a different reality then. They're in a different state of reality.
The reason
they're like that's basically like, bro, that's so trippy.
Right.
That's
So
weird.
have you ever been like,
They're operating on like a 40% more like
when they're having fun, like think about if you're a girl, if you're having fun, you're having 40% more fun than a guy can have. But if you're having a bad day, that's 40% worse than it's like a roller coaster of emotions when guys are probably just like, you know what I mean? Like if you look at the frequency 43, sometimes it's like sometimes the frequency is like that, like a big, like short, and then sometimes it's like that. And so like that's why I don't want to say something too controversial to listeners out there. So I'm gonna say, what I was gonna say. Can't ban me now, bitch.
Can't cancel what we've already canceled ourselves, bitches.
You are not
We've already canceled ourselves, so we're uncancelable.
Try me. But that is crazy. I don't know, emotions are crazy. Especially
because you look back and you look to like generals, and I'm thinking like strategic decision making. I'm thinking a game of chess. You know? You're not thinking in emotion. You're not thinking in emotions.
If you're like
you're taking planned out, thought out sacrifices. Because you're never going to get to an objective without sacrifices. Can we talk about the game of chess for a second and how symbolic it is in life?
Do you know how to play chess?
Yeah, I know how to play chess.
So this is I think I know like what the pieces mean. Like the horses can do an L, the pawns are this, the king can go forwards and back, but I don't know the whole, like I wish I appreciated like the whole methodical strategy of the game. But not even that, but like your point to how it can reflect a whole like viewpoint on life, right? Because it's like,
yeah, well, any game can really. Anything with an objective. I mean, Jordan Peterson, God, man, this is all him, man. I feel like I'm just taking Jordan Peterson's words and just putting them in my mouth.
Who's going to carry the message when he goes, though? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, God damn it, Jordan Peterson, I want you on this podcast so bad. I dressed up for you, JP.
The book The Giver, right? So it's like Jordan
Peterson. I love that book.
It was a great book. Still is. But it's like I feel like Joe Rogan. I feel like our podcast is like Joe Rogan, like Jordan Peterson, and like you and me, and like our own like perspective is all like intertwined. And like for me, it's like, well, it's my moral responsibility. It's my duty. Talk about John Rawls, or is it John Locke? But like you have a moral duty.
Locke. Rawls was one too.
You have a moral.
They're probably both Johns.
Great name, by the way.
Yeah, it's a great name.
Hopefully it's JOHN though, because I don't. If it's JON, then we might have some problems.
Yeah.
But it's your moral duty to pursue what you value, and like I've never like had someone impact me the way that these influencers on YouTube have, and it's like, well, now it's our turn to carry on the message and to do what we do, and whether that's proving that aliens are real, whether that's showing how important like health, wellness.
Dude, what if we're the fucking ones, bro?
And we could be, bro, because like who else?
Could be one in a million, man. One in an infinity, probably one over infinity.
But,
that's a chance.
It takes some editing. It takes us really like probably doing a little bit more research before we start our podcast instead of going in naked, literally and physically. And
you guys will yeah.
But it's so important. And it's like, well, I gotta lay it out the way I see it so my kids can see this, so my kids can see my takes on the world, so my grandkids, so my great grandkids can know what I'm about, can take the messages that I've been saying and I can just, it's going to be on the internet forever. And I feel like there's nothing more beautiful than that in this world.
Yeah, that's awesome. The internet has made that truly possible. That's incredible.
Could you imagine us doing
This wasn't possible just 20 years ago.
Yeah,
Not really.
We have a leg up on the curve. I don't know anyone who's doing a podcast our age, except Grant.
I know a
Sam.
few people.
Do they have 28 subscribers though?
Fuck no, they don't have 28 subscribers, bro. Are you kidding me? Bro, I mean, it doesn't matter how many subscribers you have, bro, because it matters how many of those subscribers actually click to watch your video when they see it pop up in their feed, you know? Like,
Agreed.
yeah. Because Frequency 43 is just out there for the people, man.
Take it how you see it.
Take it or leave it. Let's work together, man.
You know our message. I feel like our message for this podcast is like, develop your inner self to be better and expose the truth that no one else is saying. And fuck the mob mentality.
Mentality.
You know what I mean? Because it's like whenever like everyone kind of goes like one way, I'm always like, well, whoever were the last person to like attach to them, like, you know, like you are not a sovereign individual by any means necessary, right? You know, because like God forbid, like if you're stupid enough to not have your own not political but opinion on the way you see the world, well, you're just going to join someone else because you can't think for yourself. If you can't think for yourself, then you're going to join the group that's most appealing to you, so you feel accepted by your peers. But there's nothing more brave than standing up to what's wrong. And you not only are you standing up to what's wrong, but you have to go balls deep. You have to put in the extra work to prove that they're wrong. You know what I mean? Like you not only can you say I don't agree, you have to say, like, because it's the easiest thing in the world to be like, oh, I agree with this movement or this agenda because it's ethical and it's moral and there's all these problems and it's like, if you, and let's say like I disagree with that. Well, not only do you have to disagree, but you have to say why you disagree. And there's a fine line between you disagreeing and going too far and you saying, well, this is not it because of X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing more.
I feel like there's like this, there's nobody's even trying to find middle ground anymore, you know? It's an all-out bloodbath out there now. That mentality needs to change, but it's politics, you know? It's been like that for thousands of years. You can go all the way back to Rome, so that's why there's checks and balances. But right now it needs to get better, but it's not going to.
I have absolutely no faith in this world.
I have no faith,
to be honest. As I was grown up and matured, it's like, well, I go into like these stores.
We grew up in our second president before we could even vote. You know, first presidential election we could vote in is fucking Donald Trump. You know, how are we supposed to have any fucking? Yeah, the system is doing fantastic.
Yeah, literally everyone's like, we're gonna put this lunatic office because.
Wait, all right. So we have this giant shit show to clean up from our parents, but that's chill.
Not to mention our mental problems, bro. Half of the United States doesn't even acknowledge that there's global warming, like, or I don't know how. I mean,
dude, I feel like that number is inflated. Like, I feel like most reasonable people are like, yeah, the Earth is warming up, but it's like, then you're like, all right, but
man, a lot of people.
We need to switch to renewables, man. Pretty undoubtedly, but we're fucking ourselves so fast it might not matter.
Well, thank God it won't affect me. It's the mindset I would have. Who cares? I'll be fucking 70 and shit's gonna hit. I don't care.
I hope shit does hit the fan when I'm 70.
Dude, I hope shit hits.
I feel like if shit was gonna hit the fan, I'd want to be like 70.
Dude,
you know,
sometimes and guess what? I think when did we start this podcast? Was it before Corona?
I just wouldn't give a fuck. I just go balls in if I was 70.
Sometimes I think about me wanting shit to hit the fan like right now, just so I can test my survival instincts. Like
Yeah.
I really, and like this could be like selfish, but like I really want to know like where my like boundaries are. Like if I had like nothing, you know, like I want to know like
Have you
because
seen Youngblood's videos where he just goes out into the wild for like a week and he just like makes his own food? Bro, you gotta look up Youngblood. Just quick shout out to Youngblood, dude. Fucking love you, Youngblood. Oh my gosh.
what does he do?
If you don't know who
Out in
Youngblood
the
is,
wild.
dude,
He goes out
this is the you've probably seen a video, but this is the motherfucker from Australia that you always see those beautiful like Australian views on his like fishing boat, dude, and he just goes into like the Australian islands for 6 days and just like lives off the land. Dude, it's crazy. You would love him. He is such a good vibe, bro. Such a good vibe.
You know, it's funny because I mean, this is me. If you're friends with me, then you know. Because like sometimes I am all talk, right? So like, what if I was like, yeah, I wanna test my survival in like 14 hours without food in the wilderness, and I'm like, fuck, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Well, like sometimes like I don't know, because like sometimes I swear I got this angel on this shoulder. It's like, yeah, be a good person, be happy, like, and then I have this like devil on this shoulder that's like, everyone has betrayed you. Trust no one. Like,
Uh-huh.
there's no one that can get you out of this except yourself, and you gotta tooth and grind and not give a fuck about anything. And I'm just like, no, treat people with kindness and respect. You know, it's like, do you remember that? I forget what movie, but it was like Crush or
Oh,
something
it's
like
the
that.
crunk from
Yeah,
the llama
yeah.
one,
I
bro.
swear, it's like,
Dude, I want to go to Machu Picchu so bad.
or like I look
Bro,
at
we got to go to Machu Picchu, do a podcast on Machu Picchu. I would die happy. I would die happy. I would die happy. I would die happy. I don't know what else I could get out of this world.
um yeah, I don't know. I mean, and that's the whole idea of a yin yang, right? Like feminine, masculine, good, evil. Like, and this is the funniest thing, right? Because I look at these TikTokers, right? And it's like, well, I look at anyone's life, and it's like, I truly think for every good thing that happens, there's an equal amount of like bad stuff, right? So, and like, I'll give an example. Like, let's say you're famous, right? Like, let's say you're a rock star, okay? And like, you're like, thank you, San Francisco. Good night. Ah, everyone's screaming your name, Lucas, Lucas, Lucas. So you have this huge, ah, thank you. But so then you leave, and you feel this huge burden and social withdrawal, right? Because it's like no one, and then like you're in your little like isolation tank, and like no one gives a fuck about you. And not to mention, what about 15 years down the road when like your career doesn't even matter, and you're not, I mean, and like this is like really like and like I don't know like how accurate like I am with this, but it's like I truly think like there's a withdrawal, or like there's, I mean, like look at a TikToker right now, like all these people are acknowledging, oh wow, you're so like dope because you're dancing with your tits out and you look hot. But it's like I think there's a severe there's a counterbalance to it, you know,
Hmm.
where you feel like so secluded and alone. And then you're like, even if you're famous, you're like, well, how do I know this person's my friend? Like they only like me because of my money, or they only like me because of my capabilities to give them a job, or they only like me because I'm famous, and if they're friends with me and I'm famous, then they can meet someone hot, and then, you know. So it's like and this is the whole idea of yin yang, right? And it's like for every positive there is a negative,
Hmm.
you know. And that's the law of energy, right? You know, energy can be neither created or destroyed,
Hmm.
you know. I don't know, it's tough.
It can't.
It's
Yeah, energy is a real thing. Thoughts are a real thing. Thoughts exist. thoughts are real things.
You're a real thing.
Hey, you're a
Just
good-looking real thing.
Just kidding. You're a fucking simulation, bitch. You're not real.
I could, dude, very well not be. Probably not, to
Wouldn't
be
that make
honest.
more
My life's
sense?
been a little
What if you
unbelievable,
die?
but
When you die, you like you. So let's say like you die, and then like you just like you're in a chair, and you're just like take off the virtual headset. Lucas, you were a fucking stoner for your cartoon, for your arcade of a life, and it was like
but I made a sick ass podcast though.
yeah. It's like 5 minutes. It's like 5 minutes and
Hey, I
normal.
still put in the work though. You know, you can still get your job
I'm
done.
saying, I'm saying like 80
Still
years,
get on the
80
grind.
years, 80 years of like your life, or like let's say you live to 85. Okay, I'm giving you an extra 5. Congratulations. 90. I don't know. Is life even fun after 85? I don't know. Listen to the listeners out there. If you're 80, let me know. I'm gonna be playing ping pong when I'm 80, so hopefully I'm entertained for that. But regardless, I don't want to get off topic, but like I think it'd be absolutely hilarious if like life was just like you like die, the headset comes off, and you're like it's like 5 minutes in the game, and like you get 80 years worth of like living. You know what? Like when people like trip like DMT, how they think like it's like a 20-minute trip, but like for sometimes for some people, depending on the
Dude,
experience.
what if your dreams is like reality, man? Like that's been tripping me out
It was
lately.
flipped? What if it was
What if it
flipped?
was flipped, man? Like what is
What if
to
we're
say it's not?
sleeping
And
right now?
that what is to say
Always
that my other body's not asleep right now? Like there's nothing. Nothing.
I don't know, man. I do not know.
We live in
But this discourse is slowly getting us the answers to this world that I need to know. Not to mention my sacrifice I still haven't picked yet. God, every single day I wake up and I'm like, still haven't picked my sacrifice yet. You know? Another day.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be a while, man. We gotta graduate college first. I mean, you could pick your sacrifice before that, but I would wait. Make a logical, non-emotional decision.
Well, can't you pick your sacrifice then choose a new sacrifice if you don't fuck with like isn't that the point of the game is to like keep picking different sacrifices until you find the true sacrifice that fits you? Or sometimes it's too late and you become
Yeah,
like you're like,
you could
I don't
play it
give a
like
fuck,
that.
it doesn't even matter about the sacrifice. I just have to make money, have enough money so I can have a wife and kids. You know what I'm fucking scared about, bro? You know what I'm scared about is all these fucking, and I don't want to like stereotype or overgeneralize, but like I'm kind of nervous
Can't
that
wait
like
for this one.
I'm kind of nervous that like I'm gonna meet a girl and she's gonna like not work. You know what I mean? Or like I'm gonna have to like be like the person like doing all the income and stuff, and she just gets to like chill at home and like don't get me like looking after the kids is its own like obligation and stuff. But like I'm nervous that like it's not gonna be like we're in this together, right? It's gonna be like, oh yeah, you're in charge of all the money,
Mhm.
and like I'm just gonna hop on this train and ride it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't want that. I want a true like companion that like is like both get after it together.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I feel like a lot of people like get in a shitty situation and then they get a divorce and then no prenup and then like half their money just like gone.
Mhm.
Not to mention you have to, you know, I'm scared of that. Even though I take pride in not having fear, I am fearful of that. But fear is a good thing though, because it sets the tone
Fear
of
is
what
necessary, man.
it sets the tone of the worst case scenario of what could happen.
It's a natural response mechanism. Nothing, it's literally ingrained in our body that you can't try. I mean, some people like the fucking Alex Honnold, the guy who isn't scared of heights and fucking climbed up El Capitan with no fucking. That's
Yeah.
insane, dude. That if you haven't watched that, you have to watch that. That's
Oh, I've
insane.
seen the Dawn Wall. It's fucking insane.
I was talking more so to the
Free
viewers.
Solo
Yeah, Free Solo. That's the name.
guy. Yeah, it's insane.
But like that guy has the fucking parts of his brain that like respond to fear when you're in like a high stress and high.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't have that part of his brain.
I remember
So
that
like
part of
that's
the documentary.
why he is able to climb up El Capitan with no rope, like with ease, because he doesn't respond to fear. And so that fear is ingrained in our brain. It's a natural response mechanism to stressful situations. So the question is, how do we control it? It's not how do we get rid of it.
How do you control fear? Well,
how do you control fear?
I don't think it can be controlled, right? Because if you can control it, well, did
you
Alex
have to control
now
it.
this is the thing, this is the question though. Did Alex, is his name Alex, what's his last name?
Alex Honnold.
Alex Honnold. Did he train himself to not be fearful of these sorts of things, or was he born into it?
I bet
right?
it's just a complete combination.
Nature versus nurture, right? Like, are you because of your genetic profile, or are you because of your environment and like what you've consumed and like what you've done?
Mm-hmm.
But I think the reality is it's probably both, right? You know, for him to have that sort of part of his brain that's like tricked off. Well, he had probably when he was a kid, when he was a child, he had to have some sort of fear of heights, otherwise he'd be dead, right? Because if I'm not afraid of heights, then I'm gonna jump off a cliff, or not. And you know, maybe that's a bad point, but it's like, you get the point I'm getting at, right? Because if you're not afraid of falling on your face, then you're gonna fall on your face and break your nose all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't know if that's like a good point, but I guess I'm trying to say is I don't know.
You just gotta like rationalize it. Sometimes being in fear can be a good thing. Like if you're and if you need to get the fuck out of a situation, like somebody breaks in your house, you get hella scared. But I feel like in those situations too, you kind of need to push it away, be like, what's my best option right now, you know?
Right. Well, that's
a little logical.
So that's a great point, right? Because you're talking about fear and you're associating that with fight or flight, and that's exactly what fear is. More so stress than fear, because that's what activates it. But when you're fearful, right? Since we're primates, we get into this fight or flight scenario. But the reality is nowadays we can't tell the difference between a fight or flight scenario when your girlfriend breaks up with you over text versus a fight or flight scenario when you're at a bar and some guy wants to fight you. You know, our brain processes it.
That's a fucking great point.
Yeah, exactly.
That is a fantastic point.
Like,
didn't even think about it like that before.
And that's why exercise is such a huge thing, because it alleviates that sort of like that little mental fog in your head, because it's like, oh, I'm consuming all this shit. It's like, what am I gonna do? Like, sometimes like you gotta just punch the punching bag. You know what I mean? You gotta let it out, and then you're like, whoo, nothing.
Sometimes you do really just have to let it out. You let out a little whoop. Let out a little whoop.
Everyone's got a dog inside. I don't care.
Yeah, I was a Pop Smoke. R.I.P. Man. I just watched an interview of him today. He was like, you ever just want to bark? Just like, oh.
Dude, I do that when I dash. Sometimes I dash. Sometimes I'll dash, slap myself in the face as hard as I can, and I just go, ah. You know what I mean? You just like,
I'm door dashing.
No, you just like, it's just like building up, and it's just like, boom, 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 ah. Like you just like that's the only time I can, because it's funny. That's the only time when I feel like I can like scream as loud as I can, like by myself. Because if I did it right now, I think my parents would be pretty upset. Or if I did it in public, they'd be like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?" But when I'm in my car by myself, going to Big Burger or whatever the fuck I'm doing.
Wait, are you door dashing right now? Have you
Yeah,
started back up?
yeah.
Hey man, more power to you. Get that bread, man.
I hate it. I got to get a real job, but that's tomorrow's problem.
Yeah, well, that has to do with the sacrifice.
Yeah, right. Maybe I should just become a fucking athlete and sacrifice that.
Hey man, now's no better time than today.
All right, and what sport should I pick?
Beach volleyball, right? You wanted to play beach volleyball.
Yeah, that's my dream actually.
Yeah.
I usually I don't tell anyone about it because I try and protect it. Sometimes I try and like protect it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
when you have something like deep,
Mm-hmm.
deep, deep inside you, and
Mm-hmm.
like you're almost like afraid to tell other people because like you don't
Mm-hmm.
want them to like shit on your parade. Like you you
Mm-hmm.
protect it like as deep as you possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how I feel, and it's like it's pretty emotional for me to let it out on Frequency 43, episode 10, when we're wearing suits.
Yeah.
So, John, let's have a little conversation with yourself right now.
Mm-hmm.
You laid it out there. What are you going to do about it? And
Mm-hmm.
that goes the same thing with the listeners. Like, whatever your thing is, whatever you love to do, what are you going to do about it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes, like, for me, like, I mean, I said this before, but like, I've got this intrinsic, like, value just to, like, protect it because I don't want anyone to, like, shit on it. You know, like, I
Well,
love
as
it.
you should, you know. I
And
can
that goes back to
help, man.
fear of
I
failure.
mean, I wasn't the best volleyball player, but I can help you in your dreams. I don't think personally I would be a great beach volleyball player.
It's all good.
But I could definitely see you, bro. You were fucking 1 year on Northgate and you're already ripping it. Ripping it? Dude, get on a net, bro. Start
That's with
hitting reps, dude. Start hitting reps.
yeah, and that's with no coach too. I've never had a
No
coach.
coach, man. What was her name? DeBella? If you ever watch this, DeBella.
Funny going pro, going pro, just to shit on Miss DeBella. Just be like, yeah, like yeah, fuck you, Miss DeBella. You didn't fucking start me. This is like what you could have fucking had. That would have been that would be a fucking dream of mine.
Damn, she really had it out for me for a sec there. But
You know
I
why?
kind of self-inflicted that.
Bro, it's because she was fat and ugly and insecure about herself, and we were just two hooligans having fun. And
We were having such a blast,
she knew
man.
she couldn't tame us. She knew she couldn't tame us. You know, she wouldn't be like,
We
"You
were
guys."
so out of. But remember that little kid, that little Marlena's little brother. He was wet.
Yeah, bro.
Wet, bro.
Bro,
He was
he's playing at
wet, bro.
BYU now.
Bro, he was wet, bro. Oh my god, dude. This kid's like half my height, just absolutely ripping it.
He was wet. Fucking John Tabonis didn't set me, but I have so
Bro,
many.
there's nothing funnier than that first year of junior Northgate volleyball with Naj, bro.
Dude, not. Oh, Naj.
Bro, oh my god, bro. Oh, I'm so happy we did that, dude. I'm just gonna laugh about that until I'm dead.
Bro, remember?
Fucking Mr.
Hey, 11,
Durazo brought us
11,
oranges.
11, is that a sign?
That's so funny.
Love what you do.
Yeah, love what you do. Don't be
You don't-
afraid to take a jump, leap of faith. You know, it might not go the way you intended it to, but
Actually, I guarantee you it will not go the way. But
yeah, it
you
probably won't go the way.
putting yourself out there and
It's
trying
the first step.
will at least know what you don't like. You know what I mean? When it's like, well, I tried it. I don't like it. Let's do something. Like now I know I don't want to do that. Let's do something else. And, you know, I don't.
Exactly. And then when you find something you do want to do, it'll be that much better.
Exactly. I think fulfillment is going to be my word for 2020.
Really?
What feels you?
I don't know what my word for 2020 would be. I'm gonna have to think about that for
No,
a second.
okay, but
I'd say roller coaster.
Okay, but Lucas, you're conveying your one word to the outside world. But if you could convey one word to the inside world on how you could, I don't want to say better
On
yourself.
me internally, my year.
Yeah.
For me internally. Oh, okay. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Less of a roller coaster. Pretty on the up. Yeah, that's just been pretty
I
good.
think it would be I don't want to speak for you, but it's like this podcast is playing a major.
It's making me a lot happier.
I mean,
I love doing this podcast.
If you're listening to this podcast out here, there's nothing else I'd rather be doing than laying out my takes and having you hear it. This is what I live for. This is my shit, okay? This is my fucking shit, okay? This is what I love to do. There's nothing I'd rather be doing than laying it out there, saying what I gotta say, and shitting on the mob mentality. And shouting out Joe Rogan and JP. And
Jordan Peterson is the truth. Bro, have you seen, bro? I've been following Mohamed Sanu on Snapchat, and I'm for sure drafting him in fantasy football. And I'm just telling you that now as friends because I really don't want you to draft Mohamed Sanu. But I would respect you as a competitor if you did. So I'm just laying it out there. But he's looking good this season, man. He's looking
bro. Whenever little fantasy advice. I can't wait till we hit fantasy.
Bro, Mohamed Sanu is a fucking beast.
As a fantasy evaluator. I mean, and I can't talk because I don't have a ring like you. Kiss the ring for me, please, just so one day I can.
Hey, this one's for you, Skyhawk. I'm sorry I had to take one off your finger, man. But it had to happen. You know, I'm sure that I'm not going to get there again for a while.
Bro,
I'll be fighting. I got pretty lucky, man. I got first pick Todd Gurley. Breakout season.
Can we take a moment to realize that? So this was in the championship of our fantasy football season versus Lucas, versus our friend Alec. Okay. If you're an avid fantasy football player, a few years ago, championship weekend, Todd Gurley was hurt. Okay.
Absolutely critical blow to my roster. I had no solution. I had to play I was down a player in the championship. My best running back.
So let's figure this out. So Todd Gurley out championship week, okay? Alec Gene Reed Skyhawk, our friend,
he picks up the backup and fucks me.
He picks up the backup to counter. He picks up the backup just to sit on his bench so Lucas doesn't pick him up and he can't start him. Lucas is naked, empty roster spot, and still wins the shit. It's beautiful. But you go back to, beautiful championship season. But you go back to Mohamed Sanu, anytime I see a player on the New England Patriots in fantasy football, immediate question mark. Because the way they play the game is different.
You're right.
The way I mean, it's not. They run the ball a lot.
You're right. But Tom Brady's gone.
Tom Brady. Can we talk about that?
But he's gone, bro. They might change things up for Cam. Are you kidding? Well, actually, Cam's probably gonna run it more, huh?
Yeah.
Cam, they're probably gonna switch up their offense, be more mobile.
Yeah, Cam's gonna run it a lot. But he's Cam's a vegetarian. There's a lot of philosophies that.
No way.
Yeah, so he's a vegetarian.
I'm learning a lot on this podcast, man, because I learn a lot on this podcast.
Oh yeah, you live and learn in this life. So Cam Newton is a vegetarian, and a lot of people credit his injuries to his diet because he's had all these sorts of injury. I mean, I don't know if you know this, right? But he's had like a throwing shoulder injury, like all these sorts of injuries, and a lot of these like nutritionists and like but a lot of these nutritionists have said they've accredited his injuries to his diet, which is pretty fascinating. So I wonder if the Patriots are going to be like, Cam, you got to eat a steak, bro. We can't have you get injured. I don't know. I think maybe
That
you
would
should
be
join the
funny.
JP
That would
carnivore
be funny.
diet.
The carnivore diet, bro. I might have to try it.
Or we eat lions.
Carnivore diet. Might have to try it. Might have to try it. That might be the title for this one. Might have to put carnivore diet in all caps, and get those viewers' attention.
I am with it.
Yeah.
But I think more so just paying attention to your diet. So I mean, like it only took, isn't it? It took me 21 years to figure out, oh, what I put into my body is a reflection of how I feel. Wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
What? It's like, duh. Like that's half the pie. Like you, first of all, is doing the shit like you need to do so you don't feel stressed and overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
But the other half is take caring of yourself. So I mean, because think about it. We talked about emotions before, right? And how emotions can play a role in your decision making, right? Specifically, play a negative role if you're too emotional.
Right.
But like, what about the role that food or even like drugs or alcohol or like anything can have on your emotions to make you make shittier decisions or maybe even better decisions?
Can we talk about that for a second? Because that goes all the way back to motherfucking Adolf Hitler was on like hella Adderall and like all these methamphetamines and shit. And like this tweaker was in charge of like the fucking one of the biggest armies in the world, So
yeah.
like, it's crazy to me that, wait, how did I get on this tangent?
I was like diet, emotions, decisions.
Diet, emotions, drugs, decision makings.
But some people, I mean, think about some people. I mean, and this is what happened when like
it can be as simple as being on an Advil, like, but I mean that has no effect. But like,
sleep.
Not getting enough sleep. But
Or
like, think about all the bro. I actually did a paper on this in my freshman year of college. I was saying that because of our propped up medical industrial complex where these medical companies are making so much money off of these prescribed prescriptions that they just want to keep on handing out these prescriptions. They're getting all of our youth addicted to Adderall and shit. Like, how Josh has had, like everybody knows at least a couple people with the Adderall subscription.
So that's very compelling because I'm gonna keep his name nameless. But I had a friend who came up to me and actually said, he's like, yo, like I'm not feeling too hot and I'm addicted to stimulants, and stimulants that can like, and that's he was talking about,
that's like from your doctor, man.
Yeah.
It's like you can't even trust shit from your doctor, man.
No, and that's why I've taken a pride in what's called functional medicine, where it's like, well, Socrates said it: "Let thy food be thy medicine."
Did you actually say that? That's a beautiful quote.
Isn't that a
beautiful? Oh my god, quote? I might have to clip that in highlights. Frequency 43. Let's make a Frequency 43 highlight channel. You know how Joe Rogan has his Joe Rogan highlight channel?
Oh, 100%. So let thy food be thy medicine.
Do a Frequency 43 highlight channel.
And okay, so let's take it back a notch, right? So in Western medicine specifically, not as much in Eastern medicine, but in Western medicine, we are in the business of treating disease and stuff once it's already terrible, right? So it's like, well, I have a tough time paying attention, or I have heart problems. Oh, take this thing and you'll feel better. Oh, you have a hard time paying attention. Take this and you'll feel better. Whereas Eastern medicine, and you look at other parts of the world, they're more so in the idea of prevention, right? Well, how can you prevent having the heart problem before it even happens? How can you prevent having these sort of ADHD?
That's what it should be all about. Now it's all about. You have a great point.
And it's so mind-boggling because especially in the United States, well, it's like Like they're like, I could give a fuck about if this makes you better or worse, but I'm making money off it, so it's working out for me. So we're gonna keep pushing it.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Big Pharma and all these lobbyists, right? It's insane because it's like they're
just all for money, man. It's the whole
right.
entire world.
When it's like
You got to rethink the reason you do anything in your life. Like, really think about, like, are you making, like, do you want to do this, or are you just doing this because you need to make money? Like, I'm sure everybody makes that decision, but some people, like, don't.
some people are just surviving, right? Some people are living paycheck to paycheck and they could give a fuck about anything except paying the bills for next month. But once you get past that point and like hope to God, like you're in the sort of situation where you've had support and whatnot to get there. But it's like once you're past, you can pay the bills, you can kind of pay the mortgage, you're on the right track. Then value. What are you doing with the most precious thing you have in this world? And that's time.
Exactly. I couldn't put it better myself.
What are you doing with your biggest asset? Because guess what? That day that happened today, this podcast you're listening to, it plays a role. It's so important because you can't get that back. So the whole idea of like are you just doing it to feed the bigger fish, or are you doing it because you're getting some sort of fulfillment and gratitude through helping others or doing what you love?
Mm-hmm.
You know? I don't know. What were we talking about? I don't even know what got me on that.
I have no
Oh,
idea.
it was like money. It was like money making you do something that you don't take pride in, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
Tough
World.
love.
Yeah.
Tough love.
That's really the dream, is just making money in something that you find pride in. It should be.
The dream is making money off money, because that's what rich people are doing, right? So they're not dashing, they're not doing all this shit. They've already made X amount of money, and then
Right, but there's a certain level of fulfillment from making the money from something that you love doing, you know?
yeah. Oh, I'm with it. Because what's the point?
You know, like there's an extra level of satisfaction of being a professional snowboarder, for example. You know, like you're doing what you love for a living, you know, like you probably wouldn't want to be doing anything else if you had the choice. But
That's a great sacrifice to pick.
yeah, but it, you know, it's extremely dangerous for the body. I know people whose relatives have died in snowboard
Like a half
crashes.
pipe or what?
In the trees, man. It's always going to be the trees. And I'm very, very lucky. I was once in a very sketchy situation with a tree, and luckily I just hit I wasn't even wearing a helmet, dude, but luckily I just hit my thigh, and I had the worst dead leg of my life. But if I hit my skull, man, like we could not be having this podcast right now. I could be a vegetable, so I need to get a helmet.
You're a
But
dumbass.
who even knows if this next season is gonna happen, man? What's to say it does, man? At this point, I don't know. I have no faith.
The
None.
fact that I can't even rely on having a fantasy football season this year, like, talk about fear.
Yeah. Talk about withdrawals.
Talk about the idea that
Oh
I
my
can compete
God. Are
against
you
my friends in
kidding
fantasy
me?
football, like that.
Dude,
No,
this podcast is going to be going so brazy during fantasy football season. We're going to be having the most lit takes, bro. I want to have some great fantasy football talks.
oh
It's going to
yeah,
be like it's going to be like the Joe Rogan MMA talks, but it's going to be our fantasy football talks, bro.
oh, I'm down. That sounds
Yeah.
fun. Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
I want to scream. Let that dog out. Get me hyped up on
There's
fantasy
so
football.
many possibilities with this freaking podcast thing, man. It's really, truly insane. Like, God damn.
I love it.
Love it. Truly love it. Knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power.
Because if you know if you know how to play the game the right way,
You don't need to play the
or
game.
if you know the rules of the game, you know what I mean? Like that's the whole idea of like lobbying, right? It's like change the law. so it favors us. Change the rules of the game so it favors. Like you're playing football, make it 15 yards for a first down. Like why 10 yards? Or like if you have a quarterback that can pass it. I mean, and this is an analogy towards like business, right? But it's crazy. Let's make the goalposts a little bit thinner, because we have a kicker that's really good who can get it through the goalposts every time. Or, let's make the field wider, because we got some running backs that can.
It happens in everything, not even just. I mean, that does happen in football. People are pushing for rules they want.
Yeah.
People are pushing for what they want every day. On Twitter, especially, where it doesn't need to happen. But I guess Donald Trump, it worked for Donald Trump, so who am I to say that it doesn't fucking work? Who am I to say that it
Trump. I wonder what goes through his head, bro.
Bro, I bet he's perked up like constantly on some Adderall and stimulants, dude. He's probably on a different
I'm glad that we don't have Hillary Clinton though as our president. No,
I mean, she just disappeared. Like, I haven't even seen her, heard a word from her. Don't even know. Haven't heard a peep about her in the news. Nothing ever since the day she lost the election. Haven't heard a peep.
Yeah, because she fucking fucked it up, bro. She stopped campaigning for like the last 2 weeks because she's like, yeah, I got this shit in the bag.
Because she was collapsing, bro. There's a video of her collapsing on camera before the election. She was so screwed, man. I mean, it's just ridiculous, man, what we're born into. It's becoming like an oligarchy, damn near.
It makes me just believe more and more we're in a simulation. I don't know. Okay, I don't know, but like the whole idea that the Simpsons like saw Donald Trump as being president, and like all this like why? Like I knew life would be crazy, but I didn't know I'd be like 22 years old, and then like all this shit would be like I didn't know social media was gonna play such a huge role in our life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you could be accessible by any person anywhere in the entire world. And you could have your fake persona life just like foreseen by anyone.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's a different world, man. It's social selection, bro. I'm telling you. Natural selection versus social selection, bro. Look it up. So interesting.
Not to mention sexual selection. Because you're not here without sexual selection. If your dad,
mm-hmm.
or if some dads weren't simps, that's part of the sexual selection. Or if you're, I don't really know how to like take it. But what I thought was interesting, right, is the average female has one kid, but the average male either has 2 kids or no kids.
Really?
Yeah. So you have twice as many relatives that are female than male. Most likely. This is on a bell curve, obviously. It's not like every single like guy has like 0 kids, you know what I mean? Like, because some guys are like dogs, like look at the dogs, bro. 10 kids. And you have a lot of people.
6 kids, dude.
So it's just like hella funny. Bro, you ever know why like the Mormons like went to Mexico and stuff?
No, I have no idea.
Okay, you're gonna get a kook out of this. So the Mormons, we outlawed polygamy in the United States, which is basically like you can like be a badass and have you can have more than one wife. Okay, so the Mormons were like, well, we're going to Mexico so we can have more than one wife. So like a bunch of Mormons now moved to Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And who was the guy that ran against Obama? Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney's father was from Mexico.
From that Mormon thing?
Yeah, from that Mormon area.
No way. You're actually kidding me.
I'm not shitting you. It's actually hilarious.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm. Well,
it's crazy. The people that are like at the very top to getting elected to president are like just the worst people.
yeah, how do you get that power and influence? It's not by saying Mary Jerry, everyone's amazing.
Yeah.
It's by holding some sort of power influence. Like I need you to do my campaign finance or else I'm gonna leak this shit. Or like I did this favor for you and I'm gonna tell you. You were on Epstein's plane and then if you
Bro, Epstein, bro. Motherfucker's still out there, man. I'm telling you. I'll be the first one to say it right now.
I like that take.
I think I had this take last podcast, but I'm not sure.
Say it again.
I'll say it again. I think Jeffrey Epstein's still alive. 100%.
I agree.
100%. 100%.
Should we wrap this bad boy up, or do you want to keep rolling? We've been
we should probably wrap this bad boy up pretty soon.
Closing remarks. I forget. Do you want to talk about what we talked about, or what do we break it down for?
Make it this podcast what you will. It's just two guys who grew up together. Just spitting some words on a thing that's taken a lot of pictures of us. So
yeah,
that's all this is really when it comes down to it.
Take it or leave it. We're on frequency 43.
That's frequency 43. All right. I'm gonna
eat your fruits and vegetables. That's all I gotta say. Nothing else. You should know. Yeah. You should know the name of the game by now. If you're not eating your fruits and vegetables by the end of this podcast, you got some serious issues.
You also got some serious issues if you don't know who Jordan Peterson is. It's a godforsaken man. All right. Well,
it's been real. It's been fun. It's been really fun.
It's been really fun. Frequency 43. But I'm gonna have to get up for a sec. Take a drink of water or something. Oh yeah.
That was good. Good work.
That's a podcast, baby, right there.
That's it, baby.
Love to see it.
That's our podcast. Take it how you see it.